Hello, it's your favorite Yapper Legendary, and today I'm going to quickly just go over the new facility buildings that the devs added in Update 59, as I have been spending the last 48 hours testing these new structures and seeing how they affect our regular logistical loops. So let me quickly give you a breakdown of what these structures do, and then I'm also going to give you a bit of a prediction of where I think these structures will play inside the game's meta. So first things first, let's talk about the Infantry Arms Factory. This is the first building that the dev showcased. This is a very large structure that you need to place inside of your facility. It is incredibly bulky in terms of its physical hitbox shape. You need to put this essentially on a 2x2 grid of 2x2s. So you'll need at least 4 2x2 foundation blocks to put this structure on top of. So don't think you can build this in a very small capacity. This is a large structure that you need to build. So the building itself allows you to create the melee weapons that you saw in the demo. But most importantly, this has two modifications that give it a brand new role within your facility structure itself. One thing to keep in mind is I fabricated the icons for the Infantry Arms Factory as well as the next structure that we're going to take a look at myself. This is because there isn't any high-res versions of these icons yet, so I kind of just fabricated one. So obviously, once the dev branch releases, there will be official icons that people have collected. So for now, I've created my own little icons here just for explanation purposes. All right, let's talk about the two versions that the Infantry Arms Factory comes in. The first is you can upgrade it to a special issue firearms structure. I dub this the crate variant factory. So the crate variant factory takes existing crates that you have to produce from a factory or an MPF, and this will allow you to upgrade it to variant crates, which will be the weapons that you saw in the sort of infantry update teaser. So all your upgraded AT rifles, all your fire mortars, these are produced inside of this variant structure. Secondly, you have another modification which is called the Small Arms Workshop. And the Small Arms Workshop essentially works like a small MPF, like a mini MPF almost. And the key difference with this structure is it doesn't require existing crates to function. You actually produce some of the basic crates that you can produce in a factory or an MPF using facility structures and explosive powder. So CMATs and explosive powders and sometimes some other additional ingredients will allow you to produce a large quantity of regular items such as sticky grenades, the Warden Flask Grenade, the Colonial Ignifist, as well as all the various mortars, basic mortars that you have inside this structure. So this allows this building to function in two distinct ways. The first is you can make better or upgraded equipment, or you can make a lot of basic equipment. And there are some nuances with how these two structures will work within the meta. I will discuss this a little bit later. But for now, let's talk about the crate transfer station. So this is the other structures, the structure that the devs showcased. Again, I fabricated a little icon here that basically shows how this structure is meant to work. So this building has one goal and one goal only. It is there to hold your crates while you're busy bulking them up, getting a large collection of them before shipping them off to the various storage depots for more persistent holding. So this is a temporary structure that is used to hold your crates. The crate transfer station cannot be squad locked. So when you put stuff into this transfer station, it cannot be privatized. So this is not private facility storage at all. This is just a way for you to temporarily put things inside of your facility before you move it out, hopefully via a shipping container. Okay, so let's talk about the inputs and the outputs of this structure. The crate transfer station will accept crates from any source except vehicle crates and shippable crates. So you can't put in a crate of falchions, and you can't put in a crate of fuel containers or something like that. You can only do basic crates that come out of a factory, an MPF, things that can be held inside of a shipping container, as well as any crates that you've extracted either from the new structure or from a traditional ammo factory from the previous facility structures that we're used to. All right, so basically, as long as it's a crate that can fit inside of a shipping container or a logistical truck, then this building will accept it. What is important though, and this is something that a lot of people getting confused with, is when you pull any crate out of the structure, it doesn't matter where it originated from, when you pull the crate out of this building, it will be created into a new item called a disassembled crate. So this structure converts regular crates, holds them, and then produces disassembled crates, or D crates for short. Okay, now the key thing about D crates is they cannot be submitted directly into a bunker base, a town hall, a town base, or a relic base. So you cannot take this item and give it directly into soldiers' hands, right? It first needs to be reassembled into regular crates. And currently, the only way to do that is by submitting these disassembled crates into a seaport or a storage depot, which it will then convert into regular crates that you can then take and submit to a bunker base, etc. There is currently no other way to get around this. You must submit disassembled crates into the world structures, into either a public storage stockpile, or you can also put it in a private storage stockpile depending on the origin of the disassembled crate. And that nuance I will leave up for you guys to figure out on yourselves. But basically, if you privately made a crate, submit it to the transfer station, then you can privately put it in a stockpile as well. All right, but the important thing here is just this loop. Whenever you have a D crate, it must go into a storage depot or a seaport before you can take it to the front. All right. This logic also applies to the infantry factory, the infantry arms factory. So if you produce anything in the base building or any of its modifications, you will also get disassembled crates. All right, so you can't take this directly to the front. However, currently, the ammo factory remains unchanged. So the ammo factory where you can make crated 120s, crated 150s, etc., 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 that can still go to bunker bases. So this is still true. And of course, you need to create these crates in a personal queue, otherwise you need to pallet them. Right. So essentially, the golden rule currently is if your materials come out of the new structures, so either the transfer station or the workshop, then it must visit into a seaport or storage depot, or else these crates will not work. And this is the biggest thing that people get confused with. And they've already sort of crossed these buildings off of their facilities because they said, well, I can't build this on the front line, so what's the point? Well, let's talk a little bit about how these structures are quite useful to us, and specifically the new IAF structure. So the base building essentially just produces the melee weapons. So I would avoid building just the base building. So don't just build the standard large structure. It uses a lot of space. And the melee weapons are kind of cool right now, but right now, just building a massive structure with a lot of infrastructure to basically just produce clubs or daggers isn't all that worth it as of yet. However, if you're interested in building the new specialist weapons, then building the crate variant version of the IAF is quite handy, because this allows you to take crates directly out of the factories or the MPF and then apply a lot of your facility materials to upgrade them into their special variants. So this is very useful for backline logistical hexes, and I would recommend only building this structure inside of your MPF towns or inside those particular hexes themselves. The main reason for this is the crated variant recipes currently require assembly materials. So that requires you to have an entire supporting facility to make these special variant crates themselves. Additionally, you also need the base crates itself. So fundamentally, you will need a factory to use these recipes themselves. All right, so build these inside of your backline logistical hexes. However, the mini MPF variant is quite interesting, because this serves the role of a factory and an MPF at the same time. So with this structure, you can produce a lot of basic material crates. So this opens some doors in building your own factory facilities, essentially. Now, the key thing to keep in mind with these particular structures, or this particular variant of the structure, is that it takes a lot of time for these crates to finish, typically 2 to 4 hours. So again, think of these as MPF structures. You want to build them, run them at as many queues as possible, and you want to constantly be producing lots and lots and lots of additional support crates for the front. So the best place to build this variant of the IAF is when you have a hex with a lot of salvage, a hex with a refinery in hex itself, so that you can create explosive powder, and from the salvage obviously you make CMATs as well, and then ultimately you also want to have a hex with a functioning storage depot. I would try to build these buildings as close to the storage depot as possible. So essentially you have the same loop that you have with MPF towns, where you quickly go to the MPF, take all your crates in bulk, and then you put it inside of a storage depot that could then be shipped off to the front. That's the sort of loop you're looking for with this particular structure. And because you can bulk produce a lot of things, this is potentially a very good midline logistical building. So maybe not in the hex with conflict, maybe 1 or possibly 2 hex back, you can set up a support facility to help produce additional supplies that lack a factory or an MPF. All right, so keep that in for consideration. So here's just a quick example of how you can set up one of these mini MPF factories. So essentially, you have a salvage field, you collect salvage, and then you produce explosive powder from your refinery, and you produce CMATs from a materials factory. Once you have these two, you pump this into your upgraded IAF structure, and then you set a lot of queues to produce all the basic factory materials, such as your sticky bombs, flasks, mortars, etc. Once this is complete, this produces a disassembled crate of supplies in bulk. So it'll produce 10 of them, or if you have multiple queues going, you can easily produce 50 crates of sticky grenades at once. Really, really cool. Once that's done, you need to put this into storage. So I would recommend building a storage crate or a crated transfer station. So put in all your crates. Remember, this will accept disassembled crates or regular crates. So toss all things in there. And then ultimately, once you're ready to bulk transport this to either the front or to another storage facility, you can do so by putting it into said facility itself. All right. So the main thing is you have lots of salvage in hex, and you can produce explosive powder at a nearby refinery, or you can import it depending on your logistical setup. You produce CMATs on site, you pump it into your mini MPF, you temporarily hold it inside storage, and then ultimately you ship it up to an actual storage depot so it can see action on the front. Additionally, if you're quite lucky and you have access to sulfur, I would add a ammo factory within this loop as well. So inside your ammo factory, because you're inside a hex with a refinery, you take sulfur, produce heavy explosive powder in hex. You take some of the CMATs from your materials factory, you dump this into your ammo factory, produce crated supplies of materials, whether it be shells or any of the other useful materials that the ammo factory has, specifically mines, the new mines that get added to the game, and the changes to minefields. This is now produced at an ammo factory. You actually can't produce mines at a regular factory currently. That might change, but that's how it is right now. So produce your crated supply of stuff, toss this into your crated transfer station, and then add this in with your regular supplies that you create at your mini MPF, and then take this to your storage depot. Right, so that's essentially it. Quick summary of how it works. Probably took me like 15 to 20 minutes to explain, but essentially the core idea here is we now have an introduction to player-driven factories. We're probably going to see this mechanic change. I do believe that the disassembled crate mechanic is going to be updated at some point. But for now, the devs are being a little bit careful with how they introduce things. So right now, the result of the facility loop is take your output, put it in a storage depot, and then it will enter the rest of the game's war economy. And people can use it regularly by just submitting it to bunker bases, deploy the materials, and then go attack the other side. All right, if you guys have any questions about this, I know this is a little bit confusing. It's a new mechanic. Feel free to ask in the YouTube comments. Feel free to message me on Discord, or you can also message me on Reddit. I'm on Reddit, quite active. So just try and find me. I'm MPF, haha. I'm WL Legendary. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. This is going to evolve, and I'm very excited to see how logistics is going to change in the game going forward. Okay, so that's it, and good luck. And if you guys have any useful alterations to my dastardly plans here, feel free to tell me in the comments, and I will read through and respond when possible. All right, good luck everyone, and I'll see you hopefully in War 119, which will be the update war.